podcast is recorded and produced by Emerge Media Creators Co-op in affiliation with the network at bicbb-radio.com.
Hello there. Welcome to another episode of the 716th Attack Legion podcast. Today we are joined by...
I have something to say.
Okay. Hot start
Because
here.
I'm frustrated.
Welcome back, Julien.
Hi. I'm frustrated. And I'm going to talk about this because it really bothered me. Leslye Headland, who is directing Acolyte, went out and did an interview where she basically talked about how... I'm going to lower myself into this frame a little bit more. Basically went out and talked about how fans are upset because if it doesn't come from George Lucas, then it's not good, and there's this misogynistic mindset behind all of Star Wars because everybody thinks that it came from one man and it strictly came from George Lucas, and so that's misogynist and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, and then she said in the TikTok specifically that it's not about hiring George Lucas because he has all the answers, but it's about making sure that you hire the right person who's going to think ahead and hire the Ralph McQuarrie who did all the concept design and all that sort of stuff. While some of that stuff is true, to blatantly say that the fans are upset about the fact that it's not coming from directly from George Lucas and that he is the only person in the universe that understands Star Wars, that's not what people are upset about. And to say that it's misogynist because George Lucas created Star Wars is fucking stupid. Like, I'm sorry, but it is. Like, okay, just because George Lucas is a guy, like, this is when people I say, like, people get too woke about this kind of stuff. By saying, oh, well, Star Wars was created by one guy, and everybody loves George Lucas because he gave us the prequels, and he gave us the originals, and all that sort of stuff, and therefore, because it came from one dude, it's now a misogynistic thing. It's like, it's just fucking stupid. Like, shut up, and, like, know what you're talking about. Because, like, that's not what, like, feminism is about. That's not what any of this stuff is about. It's not shutting down men and just... It's about equality for everybody.
Yeah. And there are actual, like criticisms you can make that are, like, feminism arguments towards Star Wars. Because, like, let's be real. There is a lack of... There are less cool female characters, like, in smaller number than there are male.
Of course,
like,
but just because...
But it also has a time period and shit like that.
But then you could also argue...
But also think about, like, the story. Like, just because, like, in the originals, like, yes, so you had Luke, Han, Chewie, and Leia were, like, the four main characters. Just because only one of them was a woman and not the rest of them, therefore Star Wars is misogynistic. And that is so fucking stupid because that's just, like... Princess Leia is, like, one of the most badass characters.
She's like the original, like, tough female character.
She subverts, like, the hostage trope. Like, you think she's gonna be like a damsel in distress, and then you pick her up, and she's like,
and
super
she's not. She's
snarky,
like totally
and she's
awesome.
Like, can shoot a gun, and
so it's
and
just,
she's like basically like shitting on her rescuers. Like, yeah, like so.
And Christian made a really good point off camera about this, which was that, like, you've got all these woke people in all fandoms and in just life in general who think they know what people are actually upset about, and they're not. Like they don't. Like, and you get, like, Leslye Headland's like, oh, the fans are upset about this. No, we're not upset about the fact that there's not enough women in Star Wars and stuff like that. The last trilogy was headed by a lead female character. We've had at least one, and I say at least
unfortunately,
one.
a lot of the criticism of Star Wars, because it's like Disney, and I hate the fucking word woke because it means fucking nothing. But regardless, a lot of the hate that has come for like the sequel trilogy unfortunately did like mix in with like minority of people who were saying like hateful and like misogynistic and rather like stuff like that, especially towards like Finn and like Rose and like Rey eventually. And again, there are actual criticisms you can have towards like all of those characters that aren't related to like the color of their skin or like their gender.
Well, the same thing goes like a lot of people were talking about this with Finn, which was like,
yeah, it's convenient for people attached to Star Wars.
Was really like thrown off when he popped into the frame originally because he was a black stormtrooper, but then he had like an amazing written story, and then people were upset that they had a black guy at the front of the film, and then it almost flipped completely opposite. I think, Christian, you said this before, it's almost flipped completely opposite. By episode 9, people were making comments that he was sidelined because he was African American.
Well, also, like, and the Lucasfilm themselves have never had a good faith conversation with the criticism that's come to the sequel trilogy, in particular The Last Jedi. Like, if you remember, and this is what I think even more so than The Last Jedi not being good caused issues, was Lucasfilm's reaction to The Last Jedi, which was only to hyper-focus on, like, this brigade of hateful people, which was still a minority at this time, instead of focusing on the people that had actual, like, legitimate criticisms with the film, which there were fucking many of. But instead, Lucasfilm decided to target the people that were shitting on the film in the most reactionary ways, and decided to paint the entire people who had backlash towards the film as that. And there really hasn't been any peace with Lucasfilm, especially with like Kathleen Kennedy, and like the hate and all the stuff that's like the negativity is only skyrocketed because of that moment. And so I think just anyone working under that regime unfortunately has to cater to that mindset that like the people that don't like Star Wars, it's not because like we're doing stuff wrong, it's because like it's because they're anti-woke or stuff like that.
Yeah,
so it's an easier message
because,
for them,
and
especially when you work under
and
fucking
so
Kennedy.
It's just like you like, so for Leslye Headland, what I can't even pronounce her last name, it's like you have been given an opportunity to direct a series in one of the greatest cinematic universes ever. And it is a brand new, completely fresh, entirely new story of an era we have never seen before. And you're turning around and shitting on what's already been made, even though 95% of what's already been made is so beloved by people, and you just want to be different.
There is a bring Lucas back crowd. Like, that is a crowd of people that exist, but most people find them ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. Cut you guys off. I've been trying to say this for a little bit here. Just to kind of put the nail in her coffin here, because she's now irrelevant to me.
Okay, well, that's a little...
I said to me, this is me personally, I hate people who do that. They, like you said, Christian, they paint everybody with the same brush, and it's not what it is. Mark Hamill said it best. And this is kind of going off your Princess Leia comment. There was a little girl who got told that she didn't, girls can't like Star Wars. And her mom tweeted this out and asked Mark Hamill for his opinion. Not thinking it would actually get any attention or anything. He goes, listen, if it wasn't for Princess Leia, Han, Chewie, and Luke would have been dead. They would have screwed everything up. Princess Leia is the one who rescued them from the detention center. She's the one who coordinated the entire resistance with Mon Mothma and everybody. Like, she is Star Wars. So for you to sit there and say Star Wars is just this run male thing, it just blows my mind.
And it is true when it comes to like the film industry to say that like it is mostly run by men, and there's a lot of whitewashing that happens and stuff like that. And so the entire film industry is changing to be more inclusive and things like that, which I think is amazing. Yeah. But
I think she's equating like that, like the Kennedy hate into her being like a female director of Star Wars, which again, let's be real, just because she's female and like a bit like she looks a bit like to the left, if I had to guess, especially like from what I saw of her appearance, like she's automatically going to get a hate from like a certain annoying subsection of Star Wars fans that we all know exists, and they're annoying as hell. And so like I imagine she's probably dealt with that. I just think she let that boil over a lot of these people do, and then like attack like everyone. It's kind of like,
and it's just frustrating. Like, and this is the last thing I'll say, and then we should actually talk about what we came here to talk about today. But it's frustrating when it comes to things like Star Wars or even just filmmaking in general, when everybody tries to look very woke and they try to sound like very inclusive, and they don't sound inclusive. You actually are turning around and just hating on everybody because they don't agree with your opinion or you want to make yourself look better. And that's so frustrating. Like
you could have said that without being antagonizing.
Exactly. And it's like, just enjoy the fact that you're directing something in Star Wars. No, George Lucas is not involved anymore. And you're going to create a great story, and I'm sure that's great. But you don't have to be why do you have to be a jerk about the fact that you are creating something that's totally brand new? We already know you're creating something that's brand new. Stop it.
Does he think that people, like Star Wars fans, don't appreciate like the other people? Like Star Wars fans, she
essentially said most fans don't appreciate the people like Ralph McQuarrie,
which is dumb, because almost most diehard Star
the
Wars fans
whole
know
Rebels
we
concept art is
McQuarrie
created from him
on the show.
So it's just annoying when shit like that happens.
Why live like even if like in somehow even if whatever she said was like 100% true, like why continue to live in that like that mindset? Like you have the opportunity to make something new and to like get away from whatever you think is going on.
We've heard
in
nothing but good things about Acolyte.
Yeah,
and like the people that seen the trailer, yeah, exactly. The people that have seen the trailer at the celebration and stuff,
said it was amazing. So it's like, and I wonder if like you're letting that get your head too big. It's like, oh, people love what I did, so let me shit on all this other stuff because people want George Lucas. Everybody in the world is always going to want George Lucas to be involved in Star Wars. It's George Lucas. He created it. But to make an assumption that everybody says, oh, well, George Lucas is the only person that made Star Wars happen, it's like, we all know that that's not true. The entire concept art for Rebels and all of their characters are based off Ralph McQuarrie art. Every time a new piece of concept art comes out, it's amazing. It's not... Like, yes, Ralph McQuarrie designed the characters, and I give a lot of credit to all of that, because that's a difficult thing to do. But George Lucas did create Star Wars, and the idea was created through him. No, visually, he did not design the character himself.
I remember seeing an interview with like George Lucas.
People know that he didn't do that.
I remember seeing an interview with George Lucas where someone talked about Thrawn, and he jokes about and basically yells at the interviewer like, "I didn't make Thrawn," like something like that, and he's joking, but he likes Thrawn. Yeah. We've heard Lucas's opinion on Thrawn before, if I remember correctly. So Lucas very well knows, like even Clone Wars, like a lot of Clone Wars, some of it's directly from the mind of Lucas. It's the last like main thing that he directly like contributed to. Yeah. But like a lot of that is Filoni. Like a lot of that was he gave it to somebody else and other people like who were a lot of different creatives who worked on Clone Wars.
Yeah, and I think just her thing in this.
I think she has a misunderstanding of what she thinks
what fans are upset about.
Even
like you said,
like
that's what I think this can be boiled down to. Really,
even with the Mandalorian, like you have a plethora of different directors all working on one show together.
Yeah, and there's plenty of female directors.
Yeah,
and everybody loves the Mandalorian.
Like Bryce Dallas Howard has done some of the most.
And I think it's just the concept of like things like this take time. Mm-hmm. Okay, so when you're trying to be inclusive and you're trying to include all different ethnicities and races for actors, and you're trying to include all different genders and things for directors and all that sort of stuff. Like, yes, it is a good idea, but it does things like these do take time. It's not like it's going to change overnight. And we are getting there. I mean, now we have, female producers and directors that are now running these companies and that are like, Deborah Chow did the entirety of Obi-Wan and like all this sort of stuff. So to say that it's just not happening at all is frustrating. And you're not the only person you're not the first one to go through and experience this. So, because essentially like saying stuff like the way she's saying it is like demeaning to Deborah Chow and Bryce Dallas Howard and all the work that they've put in and all of this other stuff. It's like frustrating.
It sounds like she's just trying to simplify the criticism of modern Star Wars.
George's ex-wife. I can't remember her name. Like, she was there. Mm-hmm. She helped him edit. She did all the editing. And there was so much stuff that she went through and pushed through to make sure they hit their deadlines. It's...
Right. So it's just frustrating.
Yes, like you said, Julien, in regards to Hollywood, it's still a very male-dominated area. But we're at a point now where I think that stuff starts to go out the window, where we're seeing the inclusion. But
I think we're seeing it. I think it could happen,
it could happen faster, for sure.
Faster, but I think it's happening. And so for people to be like, oh, it's not happening at all. You're just purposely ignoring what's actually happening.
Also, Star Wars
is
a weird area to talk about it because like it's not like it's a real world. And so Star Wars, you don't even get the issue, which is what I always figure out. Because again, I'm like I don't care about the woke shit at all. Like have more of it, whatever. Like I don't care. But give it. Someone else.
All right, yeah. Look, so
whatever. We got to
here's
move
the
on to our
thing.
actual.
Let's
thing.
talk about
It's
what we
whatever.
actually.
Yeah,
came here to
let's-
talk
Yeah,
about.
Talk
sorry,
about
I
what
just
we
had to
came
go
here
on
to
a
talk
rant because
about.
shit like that just
So
makes
look-
me annoying. Like, just enjoy the fact that you're involved with Star
Yes,
Wars.
in Star Wars.
Anyway.
Oh, what I was gonna say, Star Wars race and like gender doesn't necessarily like matter in the same way because it's not like our world. So if you try to like apply some of those concepts in the same way that you apply them to like say Earth-based like our like societies that are
Human
like
anatomy and
alternate
such.
or there's alternate versions of like our society like so like for instance like for Marvel like you can tell stories related to like the gender of the characters and like the race of the characters
Yeah.
because it's Earth.
Yeah.
But like in Star Wars it's just you're human. And then there's not really like maybe there might be certain societies like within Star Wars where like it might happen, but like on a whole it's just the human race, and then there's other races like that's where the racism would be. Like maybe there's like I guess there could be gender stuff still, but like we've not seen that though. Like the Jedi have always like the Jedi have had like in the Old Republic
Actually,
they had,
you
like,
have
The
grand-
clankers.
Ahsoka Tano is like one of the greatest characters of all time.
Like
She's
what's her
female.
name? Dual Saber lady was like the Grand Master of the Jedi Order at one point.
Oh
like,
yeah.
like,
From
Bashila
Knights of the
Shan.
Old
Bashila
Republic.
Shan, yeah.
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 So we actually have seen it, but I'll touch on that in a second here, because let's talk about why we're actually here.
Yes.
Yeah.
We see today we're here to talk about Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor.
Yes.
Two of the most recent and relevant Star Wars games,
And possibly some of the best Star Wars games.
Better
Yes.
quality stuff from the modern era of
Yes.
Star Wars, I would say.
and we talked about this a little bit in our last episode, just how impactful like Force Unleashed was with it, and how that was the game. And now we're into these games, and these games are really setting that bar so much higher to top.
You said you'd stay away.
I
lied.
As I have from the very beginning.
I'm oblivious.
Sorry.
It's okay. I'm oblivious. And that's
fr-
okay.
It's from The Force Unleashed.
Oh, it's
I lied. Yeah, it's the idea.
it's been
Anyway,
it's
what
been a
happened-
while.
That is funny. That is a great
It's been a
scene.
while for me from the Force
I haven't
Unleashed.
played that game in a long time. Anyway, so Fallen Order.
I was watching.
So yeah, Fallen Order. Julien, since you're the newest person to play the game, we're gonna go with your
Live,
opinion.
yeah.
Yeah, live on our Twitch channel.
They did play live, so you
we-
can watch it now.
Yeah, so you can also check it out on our TikTok and our YouTube channel for sure. Julien, when you first met Cal, how did you feel?
He was pretty sick. Yep.
Just that's it?
He's
He was
sick.
pretty
He's a sick character. He's got a cool lightsaber. He's in hiding, doing what Jedi do, and then his friend died, and so he does the same thing that all the Jedis do when someone dies, and he whips out his lightsaber, and he's like, "Oh shit, I shouldn't have done that." And so he goes on the run, and he hangs out with like Seer and Grease, and he's just chilling for a little bit. He's like, "Well, I outed myself. I guess I'm gonna be a Jedi forever and try to save the rest of the Jedi Order."
One of my
And so that kicks off the plot of the game, and but he's not like a stupid Jedi. Like that's my biggest like thing about him that makes me happy is that he's not stupid. Everything he does like has a reason. However, he is kind of hopping around the galaxy, just being like, "Hey guys, I'm a Jedi. I'm gonna stop by your planet real quick. See you later."
Cal Kestis has no respect for wildlife on any planet.
No, he just fucking
just
kills
kills
everything.
developers of the
everything.
game are a little obsessed with just having you hack through like
the
like
spider
fauna.
shit. Oh my man, we'll get into that in a
So
minute. but
Julien
holy
got
shit.
so scared.
Yes, you can watch my jump scare now. Actually, it'll happen right now.
Time to play Spider-Man. You are absolutely right, bro. Oh, okay, maybe not.
Oh shit! Oh my god!
One of my favorite parts from watching your playthrough is right at the beginning when you're like on the train, and then Seer and Grease like fly by, and you're like, "Siri's in this game?" Because her name's spelled C-E-R-E.
Oh, Siri?
So you're like, Siri?
You're like, no.
Siri.
I mean, that is a different.
No, Cal
pronunciation
Kestis
of that
is just awesome. He's just cool.
Jack.
I didn't really like when I first met Cal, I was like, okay, this is Cal Kestis. Like, whenever I meet a new character in Star Wars, I don't immediately be like, oh yeah, I love this character or I hate this character. Like, I want to feel them out first. I think that he probably has one of the best stories in Star Wars, at least in modern day. Like, it's a very intricate woven web with him. And, like, a lot of people, and I agree, think that, like, he's kind of like the first grade Jedi, at least time period wise.
First grade Jedi.
At least like time period wise.
First grade Jedi? Oh, great.
Gray.
Oh, wow. I really fucked that up. I literally thought you said the first grade Jedi. I was like, what the fuck? And then I was like, oh, first great. And I still got it wrong.
Gray Jedi.
All right, yeah.
He doesn't necessarily follow, like, he does more in the first game, but, like, you really get to see him kind of, like, settle into that
slow.
gray Jedi.
Well,
He does do Force slow.
Ahsoka.
I wouldn't really consider
fair,
her
I
a
don't
gray
think Ahsoka's
Jedi
a gray
until
Jedi.
she, like, joins up with Bail.
See, I don't think Ahsoka's a gray Jedi because I think a gray Jedi like See, that's why I also don't think like Qui-Gon necessarily is like a gray. Well, I guess it depends on your definition of gray Jedi. Is gray Jedi a Jedi who like just uses the, or just a like an individual who uses the Force in between like just in Jedi, or is it just a light side user? Well, like, because I think Ahsoka is just a light side user who doesn't agree with like the ideas of like the organized like religion of the Jedi. Like, so it's like, but I don't think like Ahsoka necessarily uses anything dark side from what we've seen.
Well, like, what about him as like a gray?
Well, like,
Cal
I don't
actually
want to.
has
I
a
don't
little
want to
bit of
really
dark
get
stuff,
into it
but-
much because this starts to go into the second game.
That's more
But
second
like
game, yeah.
in the second game, you really get to see him kind of like teeter on both ends of the Force spectrum.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, excuse me. Christian, your thoughts on Cal?
In the first game, I think he's kind of like the classic like Padawan, like, or like, because again he has to grow like into the Force, and you barely have like any abilities at the beginning if I remember correctly.
You have
I
your
think it's
lightsaber, and that's
yeah,
it.
I was watching like
and the
I was
Force- and the
rewatching
Force
some
slow
clips.
down.
I was rewatching some clips of Fallen Order because I haven't played it in a while, and I was finding myself like not being annoyed with first game Cal, but like I enjoyed second game Cal a lot more. Just with like he just feels like a more confident kid. I'm getting ahead of myself, but in that game I feel like he's a young Jedi who's like trying to find his feet. But he never feels like overly powerful at any point in that game until like maybe the end. Which
Even
I guess
the
which is
end.
the point. Which even then, like you the end of the game is you running away, like in terror.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's not like, but again, he's not annoying in like an Ezra way or like even like an early Ahsoka way.
Yeah.
Like,
No, he's just
and,
kinda
and
there,
I
and
like
you're
what you
like,
said about
alright.
him being smart. Like it's not like he doesn't make dumb decisions for like the sake of the plot happening and because that happens a bit with Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, they make them do stupid stuff so that someone else could come in and save them, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
well, this kind of had to happen.
And he's
You know what I mean?
untrusting. Like even with Seer and like Grease for like a good while, he's like untrusting of them for a bit.
He's also not protected by plot armor. At
Yeah.
all.
No, not at all.
Like anything that happens to him is purely like, oh, fuck. And then he just like obviously like plot armor and the fact that like you have to win the boss fights and stuff like that. But like his storyline, there's nothing in his storyline where something should have happened to him and could very easily have happened to him, and they just chose not to do that because he had to make it.
I think the
You know what I
most
mean? Like, they
endearing
didn't
things
do
to
anything
me
like that.
for Cal in the first game though is like the relationships he's able to like make. I think is probably like the best part of his character in that one because he has like a pretty interesting relationship with Seer.
Mommy Marin.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. The Marin one's the Marin one's particularly good because it's like the Night Sister like Jedi thing.
Yeah, that was cool though.
And they're
they're
they're like kind of two sides of like the same coin, and like they're the last of not the last, but like they're alone. They're
Yeah.
like they don't have like their tribe's gone in a sense.
If you want to watch some good episodes of Marin, the episode on our channel is titled "Why Is She Hot Though."
And then Cal and BD are obviously like
Oh well, yeah.
are pretty
And you have
iconic
to
at
have your
this
classic
point.
droid, but BD1 actually like serves a purpose and doesn't.
He's right there.
BD1
That droid,
actually
and the
does
BD
cool
droid
stuff.
is genuinely like brilliant. Like whoever came up with that, I don't know if that's like a pre-existing concept,
I don't think it was a
or if they just
pre-existing
made that
I
for
think
the.
this is the first time we saw him was in
Yeah.
the game.
And then I love Dave Filoni's.
The way you said they.
He added him to the Mandalorian.
Oh yeah,
which
exactly.
was-
And they relay information pretty
It wasn't
interestingly.
BD1 though.
No,
it
was
was
just a
just a
BD
BD
droid.
unit.
Yeah.
So now he actually exists.
He's legit canon now.
Yeah.
I was
Not
when
that
you
he
get to,
wasn't
like,
canon
his-
before, but you can't write him out now. He's made another appearance.
Also, when you get to like the Order 66 stuff in like I think Cal is one of the better Order 66 sequences in like all of. Well, Jaro Tapal is pretty fun.
I mean, I
holds
think-
up better than most Jedi.
I
during
think
Order
that
66.
I think that Cal's Order 6016 is probably my second favorite, right under Ahsoka's.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably the order we'd go in.
I think I
He's
would
also
say it's
so
my
young.
third.
He's so young when he's 13.
borderline youngling. It looks like
he's Ahsoka's age when when you see her in like the first movie.
So
like when that shit happens,
Yeah.
which also shows the desperation of the Jedi at this point. They're like, yeah, you can go fight.
You're the 13-year-olds. You can go fight in a war.
When I met Cal for the first time, I was like, this is gonna be like a Kanan Jarrus thing. Like, I didn't know where the game was gonna go the first time I played it. It'd been out for a while, and I just never paid attention to it because I didn't want to spoil it for myself. And I was waiting for it to go on sale. To be very honest, because I had heard mixed things. So when I met him, I was like, oh, it's gonna be like Kanan, and he's gonna grow, and he's gonna be like this really OP Jedi master. He's gonna get a Padawan and restart the Order. That whole thing. Was not expecting Seer to come in, or MERRIN, or Grease. It's just like,
I totally forgot that like Cal and Kanan were like the same age.
yeah,
They're
were
actually very similar in age. If you look, I think Kanan might be like a year
So
older.
when they do live action,
that.
sorry, can't.
No, sorry, too many guys.
No, that's not what I was gonna say at all. I was actually gonna say we can't do live action video games because anytime we do anything live action video game, it gets canceled. So
Wait, Halo got canceled?
no, I meant
I hope
Star
so.
Wars.
I fucking hope. It's like I hope Halo got canceled.
Halo
I
Season
hope
2.
to God that Halo gets canceled, so I don't have to suffer through that anymore.
My thing was not going to be about too many guys. It was going to be about the fact that anything Star Wars game related that has been planned to be a remake, planned to be live action, anything like it just can't.
Yeah, it gets throws into the void.
Exactly, and then they're just like, we were never going to do that. And you're like, you.
We never planned to do it. We never.
Anyway,
the
next question.
So I but yeah, going into it, I was like, oh, this is gonna be like Kanan. But I think Cameron Monaghan did a great job.
He's a much better character than
Great
Kanan.
job.
I
don't know. No, Kane's a good character. I like
Kanan's
Kane's
a good
character.
I think he's just a better character. I didn't say Kanan was bad. I just think Cal's better.
So, but I think
They're different.
Kanan's
Very different character.
Order 66 scene ranks one higher for me. So Ahsoka's, then Kanan's,
Isn't that in Bad
then
Batch?
Cal.
It's the first
Which I
episode.
haven't seen. So
Great episode.
Elf.
Great. The first episode, like, obviously,
Yeah,
this
the
is
first episode
getting
of Bad Batch
way
is an
up.
hour for some
like,
reason.
the first episode of Bad Batch is so good. Like,
have failed me
it's
for
an
the last
hour
time.
long, but it, like, interweaves with, like, the just, like, the ending of episode 3. Great
perfect.
storytelling.
That's perfect.
anyway,
And it really gives a great clone perspective, mind you. We kind of like pushed through Bad Batch before, but like
We talked about it. We had a whole episode on it.
I just feel like we didn't do it enough justice. There was so much. Anyways, but now that you're seeing these Order 66 things and you're really fleshing out that event now, and you're getting it more in the expanded, and then you see him as a 13-year-old have to disappear into the universe. It's like now he becomes a street rat essentially, and now he goes into.
I don't like that.
I thought the same thing.
I was going there too, but I tried not to.
Well, I will say the one thing about they do the same thing with all of the characters that are in Order 66. Like they all go off into hiding. They all go off and they all get some stupid ass job, and then they all are like, maybe I could just be a Jedi for like an extra 5 minutes.
I hated
they pulled
Obi-Wan
me
with the
right
job.
back.
Yeah,
in.
it's like I tried to get out,
really didn't
but then
like
they went
Obi-Wan
like
with
this.
the job. I really
was weird.
didn't. I didn't think Obi-Wan should have just been chilling in a hut in the desert for the entire time.
Yeah, I
And
mean, it
depressed
was-
there. He should have been depressed because
He had to get
because of
food for
capitalism.
his- he
No,
had
he
to
just
get-
fucking hunt some grass.
He
I
had
guess-
to get,
things, I don't
he had
know,
to get
some-
food for his EOP.
I don't care.
I mean,
man.
I guess the
Eat the
only,
OP.
I guess
Eat it.
I guess the only
You don't need it.
the only reason I was okay with that was because he was saving money to buy the toy for Luke. But
He should have stole it.
Yeah, he should have stole it. He would have been more badass.
He really could have
Anyway.
used Jedi mind tricks to get the toy, but we're not
Yeah,
gonna go there.
exactly.
Anyway, continue.
That first episode of Obi-Wan was so weird.
So,
But it was so good too.
It was.
but now we're getting him thrown into this, and now he's a scrapper. So it's like he really did do a good job of falling off the map.
It's thematically cool too because he's like taking apart like a Venador, like when the
Yeah,
first
and then you
thing
see
as
him
well,
climbing through the
so-
ship, and I like that. Thought that intro was really cool.
Yeah, it's a good tutorial level.
And then the Easter egg that Jack told me about.
Which, if you can also see
That
right
takes
here,
forever.
Oh God, is this the door? I don't know how many times I've hit it, but I can't believe you guys. If I find out that I'm doing this for some stupid, like, not actual Easter egg, I'm gonna be so mad. I better have a fucking thumb of steel after this.
Execute Order 66.
Which was annoyingly stupidly long.
Yeah, it takes fucking forever.
It was amazing for the fact that it happened. And we got you to do it.
What's the
That's
next
the best
question?
part. So the next thing that I want to talk about is after you get picked up by Grease and Seer, is you go to Bogano.
Yep.
What did you guys think of Bogano?
It was beautiful.
That's cool. I don't know. Well, it was pretty plain.
I don't feel like we need to go planet to planet here. We can just like talk about.
I
the story.
hated the planet. And the reason I hated the planet is because I thought it was a waste. You get to meet the Zepho, great. But then you got that big dragon thing sitting there at the top sleeping, and I'm like, I want to fight this thing. Or I want to tame this thing.
No, if anything's too big, it's like, oh, you get to ride it. Like, it's like,
Yeah,
I won't fight that one. I get to ride that one. It's like,
Well, also, it has like one of the hardest bosses to
Ogdo
start the game
Bogdo.
with fucking Ogdo
Yeah,
Bogdo,
Ogdo,
and you're
Ogdo
just
Bogdo,
like,
yeah.
oh shit.
everyone loves
He's
Ogdo.
the worst.
No, he's my guy. He's
Ogdo Bogdo.
My guy Ogdo.
Ogdo Bogdo.
So-
what is it? Ogdo Bogdo.
Ogdo Bogdo.
Ogno Bogno, I think.
No, it's a D.
I'm pretty sure it's Ogdo.
Bogdo.
I think it's
No.
Ogdo.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's
And-
Ogdo. I have it written here.
Ogdo Bogdo. But it's like,
Aggdo.
but it's just
Yeah, those
like,
things sucked.
yeah, man.
Um,
but also like
what-
Ogdo Bogdo.
And this is
What-
why we
alright,
have
what
Rich.
planets are in the first one?
Well,
So
you've got
Besides Braca, which is your only go-to. for like a
Braca,
minute.
which you can't go back to.
Yeah.
You only start there. You've got Bogano, Zepho,
Dathomir.
Dathomir,
There's
Kashyyyk.
only
Kashyyyk,
And then
one
one more
Fortress
Zepho.
Inquisitorius.
Fortress at the end.
And the Fortress Inquisitorius, which
Which
I
is
think is a
on-
great
which is
mix,
on
actually,
Ner.
of like different eras of Star Wars. You have like a Clone Wars thing with Dathomir. You got Kashyyyk.
yeah.
Then they introduced their own stuff as well. They made up Zepho. They made up Bogano. So they kind of followed that same model with like the second game as well.
So I like that we got to meet the Zepho. I believe that to show that there was an ancient civilization, not just of like humans, but like these massive creatures. I don't know how to describe them. Humanoids, giant humanoids that go out there and use the Force, and where we don't understand it, and you're getting led through it by a hologram of,
Cordoba.
That
That was a good way of putting like information to the player.
Yeah,
And with the
thought-
flashbacks as well with the master to learn when you needed to like learn a new skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, though that was cool.
The
Or
storytelling of this game is great.
Yes. I personally like Dathomir in the sense of you get to see that like the whole civilization of the Zabrak people did not get wiped out.
I hate
I fucking hated that
Dathomir.
part.
I hated the spiders.
In what, in terms of like playing it? Or
Yes.
like, no, I think, but that's good for Dathomir though. Dathomir should fucking suck to go
Yeah,
to.
it did.
Like
It
when
was
you go
awful.
to Dathomir, you should hate every
Dathomir.
moment you're there. And also, like, it's very accurate to like every time we've seen Dathomir. I love how accurate it is to like Clone Wars Dathomir. Like you just see a little body. Like even you fight like Clone Wars, like undead, like
Night Sisters.
Dathomiri, Night Sisters. Like
Yeah,
like, that's
I
like
think it,
way
like-
deep, like in there.
And I think it's like the what's the
The only good thing that came out of Dathomir was Merrin.
What's his name's good too though. The villain, the other guy you got.
The Dark Jedi.
Malicos.
The Dark Jedi,
Aaron
Malicos.
Malicos.
Yeah, Malicos is cool.
which Jack was like, be prepared for the hardest boss fight in the game. And then I fought him for like
Yeah, I don't
maybe
think
10
Malicos is
minutes
that
and I
bad.
beat him.
You get some help with Malicos. You get-
Halfway through, yes.
Yeah, halfway through Merrin comes in and you're just like,
I think
"Ooh."
I should just start telling Julien that every boss is like the hardest in the game because then he beats it like immediately.
It makes us all look bad for dying.
Well,
like 10 times.
let's just say, when we get to talking about the second game, I've never rage quit so hard in my life. But
Villains.
anyway,
we want to talk about villains for this one.
oh
the
my
first
God,
game?
Trilla, I loved
We got
Trilla.
three villains, three main villains, right?
Yep. Well, 4 technically. Trilla, the Ninth Sister, Vader, and Malicos.
Oh, Malicos, that's right.
And yourself, if you really want to get into it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and your inner.
It gets super deep because
trauma.
his
Always
doubt.
fighting my inner villains.
I mean, seriously, the doubt that he has is
he's
what
like
holds him back
disconnected from the
this whole
Force in a
game.
way.
Yeah.
Like,
and then you can see you see how Order 66 really did screw up a lot of people in the Jedi Order with Seer not knowing, essentially, like cutting herself off from the Force because she didn't want to.
yeah, the trauma. And she got tortured and everything after that as well. And and they saw, and didn't they literally show her her Padawan as an Inquisitor?
You get to see Seer's torture and her turn to the dark side.
Yeah. See, Seer's like I think a more interesting character in the first game than Cal is almost like.
I wholeheartedly disagree. I think personally, Seer does literally.
I don't think she
all in the
makes
first
sense
game.
necessarily. I guess that's why she's just chilling on the ship. But
she just kind of talks to him about the Force whenever he feels like it. And
she's like a mentor character.
She kills the Purge Troopers in the one hallway.
Oh, that is true.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay.
She shows up at the end. She does some good stuff at the end. Yeah, she reconnects.
And she comes in and saves him at the end. But like other than that, like she really just kind of like. She just kind of. I mean, I guess you could say.
I mean, she saved him. Like he would literally be dead. Like she didn't show up. So
I just like once you get on the ship, she just doesn't really do much.
So, what did you guys?
She just doesn't really do much. Sorry, I'm like
Mike.
relaxing.
all right, real quick, Cal's like two specific powers that he kind of has that are like he has the Echo thing, which is like what
Force
Quinlan
Echo.
Voss has, which is like fucking really cool. I forget. There's an actual more specific thing.
The sense. It's called like a sense echo. Or something.
Yeah.
It's called the Force Echo.
Yeah. And then like he has like the weird like slow time thing as well, which isn't a really supposed to be a Jedi thing.
I don't think that's like a special power that like
I
in
think
the
that was a
second
gameplay
in the second
additive
game
kind
it
of
becomes
thing.
his power up special, like where it almost becomes like when he like gets all the power. Like he's
I
able
look
to
at
do
that
that
and say
weird
it's like
thing.
that the one thing we see for an eighth of a second, which was never used again, was the Force sprint. In Phantom Menace, I think it's something similar to that.
No,
Do you think
I
more
think
that they're
that-
not slow? It's like he's going quicker.
No, I think
That's
that
the way I look
at
I
it.
think that like Jedis can just stop things from moving. Like if they can control an object and move it around, why can't they just stop it from moving?
Well, which I mean, you do see that with Kylo Ren
Kylo
stopping
does
the
it.
blaster bolt.
I don't
and
think
stuff
that
like
I don't think
And
that's
Rey is a
necessarily a
couple different
dark side or light side ability. I think that's just a Force ability.
But what would you call it? Force pause.
I
Force
think
freeze,
it's called
isn't it?
Force slow.
Force slowdown or whatever.
Yeah, because they don't like fully freeze, well, like Kylo does with Cal.
Kylo
like,
does with the
like
blaster,
Kylo,
but-
yeah, for Kylo's thing, they like freeze like in place literally, or like at least like they move around kind of and like shake a bit. But like Cal's thing is like they don't really like freeze in place. They
They're-
kind of
they're
just
kinda like-
they just
yeah.
slow. It's like when Quicksilver's
To
running
counter
around.
you, where Cal's moving faster, he literally like puts his hand out and like stops them.
But I'm saying I look at it the same way. Like,
It could be stylistic. You never know.
I think it's more of a game.
It's like a Demon Slayer when you know. Has anyone even watched Demon Slayer?
No.
No.
Never mind that. I won't go on that tangent.
So, what was your favorite part of the game then? I'll get mine out of the way really quick, just so it's done. I liked the customization. I thought the story was cool, but the thing that I had fun with the most, which was my favorite part, was the fact that you could customize BD1, you could customize the Mantis, and you could customize Cal and the lightsabers.
You could not customize Cal at all. He had
You-
2 outfits and like a million.
And he had a lot of poncho colors though.
Lots of poncho. No ponchos in the second game.
There are
No,
ponchos in
that's
the
a
second
lie.
game.
There is only
You can on
It's a hidden thing.
We'll get to that. We'll
on
get to that.
Kobo, you could go fight Ogno Bogno, and when you beat him, you get the poncho.
No, it's Spawn of Ogdo, and he's even worse to fight than the Ogdo Bogdo in the first game. He's fucking
I
like
think
twice as bad.
The best.
You
I
can't
don't know,
dodge any of his attacks.
I think the
Favorite part, not best part. Favorite part.
No, you can't parry any of his attacks. That's it.
I think my favorite part of the first. My favorite part of the first game's got to be like. Man, there's so many good things about it. Like, I don't know. Like, I love the characters. I think the characters are great. Again, I don't think Seer really does anything for the plot. Like, I think, me personally, I think he gets more out of Grease than he does anybody else. But, like, I think the characters are just really written really well. And just the plot is good. It's like it is like a pure Star Wars, like what Star Wars should feel like.
So,
I just think the plot is amazing.
so you can't highlight one thing that's your favorite.
I I don't know. Like
Or give it a, you know what? We'll make it a 2-part question. Highlight your favorite part, and then give the game a 1 through 10 rating.
Oh, you know what? My favorite part is Ilum.
Oh, I forgot about Ilum. Yeah,
That's my favorite part.
The best part.
When you go through Ilum and you get to see the ice caves, and then you like hear all the different voices of the people that are like, "Oh, you got to."
And it's reminiscent of the Clone Wars episode.
It's really cool. It's very much almost identical to the Clone Wars episode, which is
And you
really
get to see
cool.
them building Starkiller Base.
You didn't see that. You never. Did you ever go back to Ilum after you finished?
Yeah.
So yeah, there was the crest of Starkiller Base, the outline of it. They started it.
Oh, when you go back, I went back. I mean, I must have just not seen it, but
It's one of those things that you can miss very quickly if you're not.
I just don't think I was paying attention to it.
It's a large game, so I understand uninstalling it.
So, well, I needed to uninstall it to get the second one.
Exactly.
But anyway, no, I think Ilum is my favorite part. And then what was the second part of that question?
Rate the game 1 through 10.
9.
All right. Jack?
My favorite part of the game was Fortress Inquisitorius, especially the last part where Vader comes in, because like you're not expecting him at all to be in this game. Like Cal, to me at least, was like such a minute character that I didn't feel like Vader would like spend the time like trying to hunt him down. So like when Trilla's like sitting there, and then like you hear like the whoom, and then like everything goes quiet, and then you can just barely hear his breathing. Everybody has the same reaction. Like they're like, "What?" Yeah. So running away from him is definitely one of my favorite parts of the game.
Yeah, it was pretty sick.
And Trilla's like pretty compelling, I think, throughout most of the game as a villain. Especially when you figure out that she's like Seer's like apprentice, obviously. And then like then Vader just comes, and she'd been like kind of up until like you beat her in like the last your third fight with her, I think, by the time. And then she just immediately gets cut down. Like so the person you just like spent the entire game like trying to like beat, and you finally did, just immediately gets like gets cut down.
One of my favorite parts of the game is like when Vader first comes out, and then Seer's like run, and she like tries to fight Vader, and then Vader's just like
he just goes yoink. I literally thought she died.
Yeah. So did I.
Avengers' good last words by Trilla too.
In the if you watch in the playthrough, I literally go, well, she's fucking dead for sure, and that was it.
Thrown into a lava pit.
All right, so Jack, that 1 through 10.
I'd give it an 8, just because some of the parts of the game like are really annoying to like. It's such like a grindy part, like Dathomir. Like you go to Dathomir and like you fall into the depths. So like you think you're about to just go into the temple. Nope, you got to spend like an hour and a half trying to get back up to the surface. And like the boss fight at the end of that is cool, but like getting to that boss fight is like work.
Yeah, I definitely can agree with the fact that like the plot doesn't happen. It has a weird pacing.
Yeah.
The whole game has a weird pace. I'll give it that. It's like you travel from planet to planet, but
both games have weird pacing.
Both of them have really weird pacing, but each planet really only has like one main story element on it. But it's like to get there, it just takes like a long time. Like the actual plot of the game is maybe only like 6 hours.
Yeah.
But it's probably a solid 16 or 17 hours to play through the whole thing because of things like that. Oh, you're about to go in there, and then you just happen to step on a rock, and now you're at the bottom of the planet. It takes you about an hour and 45 minutes just to get back up there. And none of that stuff affects the story at all. It's just side stuff for you to do to get back to that spot. If it was like you went down there and it actually affected something, that'd be great. But even the boss fight, like the boss fight with that monster is super cool. Like the giant bat thing, but it literally does nothing for the story.
You get like the faster climber ability, and that's it.
And so it's like, I wish that they had maybe like you went down there and there was at least some story element that would have like helped there.
Yeah,
you know,
like fighting a ghost of Maul or something.
Maybe.
Or just like even like interacting with a character like that.
Never mind.
Yeah,
like you know what I mean.
Christian,
I mean story wise, I think the first game's pretty like solid as it is. Like again with weird pacing things. Otherwise, most like impressive thing that I remember enjoying is I think they like They improve a lot in the second game, like in terms of like the combat system and traversal, like so a lot of that stuff I don't even want to like focus on because it gets done better. Even customization gets done like significantly better in the second game. But I think like they had boss fights down like pretty immediately. I think they've kind of as it being like a Dark Souls clone, which is kind of what the series is. Almost not as tough though. But I think the boss fights were the most like interesting thing, and like again, even with the like those tangents you would get, like you'd fall into the ditch or whatever. Like at least at the end, you'd have like a cool boss fight.
Yeah.
And you have like a good variety of of different types. You have occasional like big robot things. You get like a lot of animals, obviously. Then you get like Vader eventually, which you can't even like you can't
even
get a health
fight.
bar. Like a Jedi, the Inquisitors multiple times. You actually you get to beat the Ninth Inquisitor or whatever, like, and then she comes back. Oh, Ninth Sister, yeah.
So 1 to 10.
8.3. Yeah.
What knocks off that 1.7?
I don't know, just weird. I don't even know. Just weird like pacing stuff. Are we rating it just based on like the overall game or just like the story?
No, the overall
game, then like an 8-ish. Like story wise is also around like an 8. I don't know if I like the story of the first one or the second one more yet.
I'm gonna go with the game as a 7.
Okay.
Because I hate spiders. Why does it always have to be spiders? Why can't we just follow the butterflies?
I literally said that too in the videos. Like, why does it always have to be a spider?
So one of my favorite TikToks that is on our TikTok page right now is when Julien first encounters the giant spiders on Kashyyyk. And I like typed in game chat. I was like, "Time to play Spider-Man," and he goes, "Yeah, let's go play Spider-Man."
Because I thought you were talking about ziplining across. I was like, "Oh yeah, that's fun."
And then the spider literally jumps down. Like we'll show the TikTok, but it like jumps down onto him, and he's like, "Ah!"
I literally think I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah. But I'm gonna rate it 7. Spiders really kill that for me, but also like I wanted to do more on each planet. Outside, and I think that they took that feedback though, and they pushed us into our next topic, which is the second game, Jedi Survivor.
I have a couple questions before we move on.
Go ahead.
What lightsabers did we choose? First game.
I don't even remember. I don't know. What were there?
There was red, green, orange.
Green. I had green.
Yellow, red, blue, and then like a cyan, purple.
Do you have double blade for the entire first game, or just part of it?
No. You have to
get the second part.
You get the double blade when you go to Dathomir.
You find the crystals as you go. Right?
You can get it early if you go to Dathomir, or you wait until you fight the Ninth Sister to get it on
No,
Kashyyyk.
that's right. I went to Dathomir before anywhere else to go find it.
That's what I did.
That's what they told me to do. So I got it. That's how I did the playthrough. But
probably yellow.
I think I did green when I played through the first time.
You did. It's on our TikTok. You did.
I'm big on yellow.
I went with red.
Yeah, we knew it.
You don't get red in the first game.
You do if you got the DLC with the Inquisitor pack.
New Game Plus. But no, are we talking like what did we play through on our first time?
First time.
I got it with all the DLC, everything. Because when I waited on the EA,
But when you play it the first time, you don't unlock New Game
unless you
Plus.
waited until like it came out 3 years later.
I think it was a year after when I got it.
Point, yeah.
Because that came out during EA the EA Pass or whatever it was.
You're talking about when you can dress him up as like
as an Inquisitor.
You can't do that in the first playthrough. You have to play through the game.
I could have sworn I used red though.
No,
the
because
whole time.
you have to play through the first game to unlock that ability and then play it around the second time.
Then I went with purple. I could have sworn I used red the whole time.
There was an
because
orange.
I was so disappointed at the fact that there was no red in the second game.
Because the DLC
You have to play New Game Plus.
I haven't played that yet.
See, the DLC in the first game automatically starts you with blue, green, and orange.
Yep.
That's like what you start.
Come on, even I knew that.
But yeah, so I did
No
green,
idea.
typical green.
I don't even have a mic today because I can't comment on any of this.
So what we're hearing is we do a very quick live stream. Rich plays the game for the first time.
On the easiest mode. On
Jedi
story mode.
Padawan.
On story mode. On story.
Be like, what button is move?
Dude, I felt the
We
same
have a
way.
whole YouTube channel now. Rich plays video games.
I played it through the game twice. I played once as my first playthrough, and I played that on Jedi Knight, and I played the whole game was blue. and then I played through it a second time on Jedi Grandmaster, and I played that on yellow
I'm
with
never
yellow.
touching Grandmaster.
It's
I don't
so
have time for
hard.
that.
Jedi Knight is enough for me, and I played through the game once. I don't need to do it again.
I played. I didn't really change. I can say this, even in the last game, I didn't change the color until it was like, I was like, I'm getting bored of this. But blue was I think I stayed with blue for a long while, but then I changed it to red when I could.
Let's
I
talk
don't
about
know
the
now.
second game.
I don't know,
Let's talk
but
about Survivor now.
Survivor, you start on Coruscant, which
Coolest fucking opening ever.
so
When the title screen
didn't lie
started like
about
that,
Coruscant.
and then it just became the game. You just click start, and it just starts right there. Like, I thought, like, in Fallen Order,
God
you've
of
got the
War,
ship
they
that's
stole
kind of
it.
broken and
Yep.
whatever. And you get in Fallen Order's menu, you've got the ship that's broken, and it's just like an outline or whatever. But the second game starts with the Jedi Temple, and you're just like, oh man, this is a really cool loading screen. Start, and the ship flies, and you're like, oh shit, this is the game. It
start
was
on
sick.
Coruscant?
Yeah, it was awesome.
So
have you played this? You
real
played the second
quick,
game.
I got to highlight something that I completely forgot about from the last game because
Which our second game series is being uploaded as we speak, by the way.
Yes,
the Haxian Brood I thought was a good. You get to really see the bounty.
the bounty hunters.
Oh yeah, in the
First
very
game, yeah.
beginning, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you see it in Survivor and the continuation of
A
the
little
Haxian
bit, yeah.
Brood, but like the fact that you're on their ship and you have to fight in the arena and stuff like that, I thought was cool in the first game.
And then you get that beautiful music by The Who, which was phenomenal addition.
So you're reunited with Cal. He's coming through Coruscant, and
He looked the animation for him is in the second game is very not good. The animation on his face.
He
because-
does look a little weird.
He doesn't look like Cameron
I
Monaghan.
think I caught this.
because
like-
they did so many things, so you could do the customization. it
No, but
wasn't
like his
good.
eye,
face
literally
and
his
his
eyes. It's like you can
Yeah, I
tell.
didn't get this effect. I don't. Yeah, I didn't.
Like
yeah.
you can tell how a person looks by their eyes, and in the first game he definitely looks just like Cameron Monaghan, and then in the second game he looks like the literal
They
physicality of his face.
They
is
gave him
slight-
like
Are you
weird,
just,
like
they gave him,
maybe
like,
just
weird
because
eyes,
they, like,
yeah.
played it back to back. Like I don't
Maybe.
know. Like
Huh?
No,
Maybe
I
it's
also
just
Moynihan,
aged
by the
up.
way,
Like, I
not
didn't-
Monahan. Isn't it Moynihan?
It's Monaghan.
like,
no, even me like I had to
Monahan.
I played it originally and then waited. Like he definitely looked a little weird.
He
What
definitely
did
looks
everyone
like.
have
I mean,
for-
it's not.
what
It's
did
not a
everyone
big deal.
have him look like? I
Oh,
guess?
redneck Cal.
Okay.
I had-
Mullet.
That makes sense for you.
I wish I could have deleted that haircut. I wish I could.
I literally just had him as regular Cal that the game started with, like with the beard and the hair. The only thing that I changed is I put him in like a white. I put him in a white, like Han Solo jacket.
I had the
That was it.
original hair. I had a fuller beard, so it wasn't as patchy, and then I had the Obi-Wan robes.
So
Most of the time when I could, I had the man bun in there because I like it was like a Ronin haircut. Like so, I was like, yeah, I'm doing that.
So
Some
I did
Jedi shit.
redneck Cal,
Yeah,
but I
we
did
know.
with customized Luke's outfit. I did go to the hermit with for a while, the Jedi robes and stuff. I was like, oh, this
There's
is
a
kinda
lot of
cool,
stuff
but
I
then was
haven't
like
played yet too, so I didn't even know you could get.
I did
Jedi
Commander.
robes and stuff.
It came with the deluxe,
deluxe edition.
but you can get it now. Like
That's what I got. the
There's like a
deluxe edition.
Commander one, which was like basically like Clone Wars.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Jedi armor, and I wore
It's
that.
cool.
That was like
That's
that was when
sick.
I
I
wore.
want to get. on that. I still
but
have to play the rest of it.
I did.
Like I finished the game, but I had to. Play
I
it, like, all
customized Luke's jacket so it was purple. So because right now I'm in a purple thing. So
I went with white
I like
for
purple.
the most of the game.
I think I was I literally switched every time I found a thing because I'm like between like orange, white, yellow, and then one of like the off like purple and whatever the off blue one was.
Are you
Like,
talking about the lightsaber
Yeah,
colors?
lightsaber colors.
Oh yeah,
I
no, I
switched
mean
constantly.
because I made like mine was very modernized.
Mm-hmm.
Cal, like as you know those who watched, my character was he's very like in the modern jacket and he's wearing like the very like slick kind of look, and then with the lightsaber I made it like very like crystal white. Perfect, like pristine metal and
Oh,
with
yeah,
the
I did
gold
that, too.
accents, and then and I did the white lightsaber I think for like 10 minutes, and I was
Yeah.
like, nope, I hate this, going back to green, so I stayed with
Whenever
green
I
for
changed
rest
the
of
color,
game.
I changed the handle.
One of the weirdest things.
I couldn't
I
do
did a
it.
little bit too,
That's
yeah.
the one thing I will.
It
This
needs
is
to
the one
match.
thing I wanted
It
to
needs to
comment on is that the lightsaber customization, as cool as lightsaber customization is, the lightsaber body parts in both
Yeah.
games are just like not
they're lacking.
very good. I think they just look like they.
I disagree. There's certain ones that I think nobody would ever use. Don't get me wrong. Like I agree on that. There are certain like
Like the broken one with the wires hanging
Yeah, that
out.
one's dumb. But then there were other ones. Like I thought there was a lot of them, especially like handle wise. Like there's a lot of cool handles.
I will say
and a lot of cool emitters. Like
I like the
in-
materials.
In the first
there's like a
game,
katana
The
one.
materials was cool. I love that.
in the first game, I didn't really like Seer's lightsaber. It was like a little stubby thing.
Yeah.
But the Survivor Seer's lightsaber, I really
better.
liked her hilt in that one.
Honestly, everyone becomes cool once you like. There's a good question we can go to. Stances. Because you only have 2. There's 5. So what did everyone play the game with?
I constantly changed.
I had.
I only played the game with 2.
I constantly
only did.
changed.
I didn't
off of,
level up 3 of them.
I changed based off of the enemy that I was facing at the time. Who was that boss going to be? And I think by the end, when it really didn't matter, I think I was blaster and double.
I never used.
I
the
had
blaster.
single
never did the
blade
blaster.
and dual wield.
I had single and dual wield.
I had double blade and dual wield.
Why am I the only one who used the blaster?
Any problem?
really
no,
not
here's the
that
thing.
good.
It's not that good.
Any problem in the game can be solved with the dual wield double blade combo. There's no problem in the game that cannot be solved. And I thought I liked that one because they actually feel like canon wise like that they flow the most seamlessly into each other because it's like you can just turn on like even like in the fight where he first turns it on, he turns it on by like literally turning like disconnecting his double blade and then putting it into 2. Like so I loved that like idea and I just rolled with that the entire game.
Yeah, I used single blade because single blade obviously does.
I couldn't get into it. I was like, I can't use a single blade.
It's
if I can use 2.
It does the second most damage
because
besides
the
the
cross guard does the most, but the cross guard was stupid. And the
cross guard was too slow to be helpful.
Exactly, and that's the one thing about that annoyed me. I was like, okay, great, we have this cross guard. I never used it ever, just because
the dual blade's best.
Swinging is way too hard, but the dual wield is the best. It is the
to be able
best.
to
It deals a
parry
ton of
anything.
damage.
Yeah,
and
Yeah, that's just it.
the like meditated parry, like it blocks any move that you like.
Yeah.
Someone hits you and you can block it immediately. That was so helpful.
Not to mention once you get like to the higher stuff with that one, like when you can throw 2 sabers, like that'll do
Oh
damage.
my gosh, the one I used the most was like you hold down like the throw button and then it like locks on all the enemies and it like ricochets off of them. I use that a lot.
I do find that like of the game, you often don't go and use a lot of the extra like cool shit you pick up, and you kind of just optimize a lot of it.
So when
and then
since I'm the only one who used the blaster, I used Han's blaster and I made it purple.
Well, yeah, I customized.
I
made my
blaster.
lightsaber.
I
never
customized
used
my
it.
blaster.
I
Yeah.
didn't use it.
Did anybody not use Han's blaster when they didn't?
I
I
did
built
a
my
mix
own.
of the original gun that the game started with plus the Hans blaster pieces.
I will say that on my second playthrough of Survivor, which was also Grandmaster, putting because you can have perks and you can literally put a
forgot about
perk
that.
loadout so that you can one hit anybody, even bosses. I will say that I used the blaster in that because I could stand back and just shoot them and it would kill them immediately.
I upgraded the blaster to do that with the skill points. So that's why I used it so much, and I thought it really helped because it helps you break up just the constant swinging and deflecting. And like, I like guns, so sorry.
I do have to say,
not the Jedi way.
I do have to say that
said I was a Jedi?
I think that the combat in Survivor was a little lackluster compared to Fallen Order.
I thought it was better.
I thought it was better.
Especially, well, in my opinion, like, you couldn't dodge anything. Like, especially going from Cal's, like, roll-away move in Fallen Order, where you could literally, like, roll away from somebody, to, like, his, like, weird, like,
Jump back
double
aside.
step.
Yeah,
I
I
did
do
not
have to
like
agree
that.
with that, and I think that's like part of the biggest frustration with like the Ravis fight that I had is that like because in the first game when a character lights up red, you can like force push them and stop them from doing their move, and in the second game, like especially with the Ravis fight, which fucking Ravis, fucking Ravis.
So
But anyway, I'll get into my opinions on Ravis in a minute. But the actual fight itself is like the bosses in this game. Yes, they're harder, but the bosses in this game are doing that because when they light up red, it's supposed to be an unavoidable attack.
Yeah.
But they're doing it like 2 or 3 times in a row that it's almost instant killing you to the point where even if you do that double step dodge thing or you try to force push, they're doing it 3 times in a row that it's almost
they really
impossible
emphasize they want to punish you if you like go if you don't have patience.
If
basically.
you misstep
that's
once,
basically
you're
what
done.
that's
and
basically what the
that's-
game like style ended up becoming. Like that, yeah. If you rush in too quick, you try to like hit a guy one too many times when he's like like out of balance. You're gonna get punished for it. Like
They
that's
tried
kind
to
of
really
like
make it into a boss fight, not
Yeah.
just another.
But like, okay, so like you're fighting, like we'll use Ravis as an example. Like you're fighting him, and then he goes into an unavoidable attack, and you move, but they like lock onto you. So like even if you like sidestepped away, they went whoop. So like you had to be precise. Like you had to move right before they hit, or else they would continue to track you and then hit you.
See, I didn't use dodges that much. I used jumping.
yeah. Use
I
jump out of
was-
the way. That's what
Yeah,
I
I
did.
used
yeah.
a lot of. That's what I enjoyed about the game is it was a lot more playing into the Jedi acrobatic than it was the
That's
standard.
never how I played a combat game. I've
No, yeah,
never
you're literally
jumped out of the
weirdly
way.
enough, I think like especially in boss fights actually like a lot of the time it would be easier to like
Jump,
to
hit,
jump
jump out of
and
the
then
way.
dash or like jump and then do like the
See,
dodge.
and I think
like,
that's
it'd be
I think
weird,
that's fine, but like then what's
the Rancor, I remember
purpose?
doing
but,
that a
but
lot.
like what's the purpose of having a dodge move if it's almost
yeah,
ineffective?
I will say the dodge like a lot of the time didn't work very well.
That's
where
why I'm
sometimes
saying
you
that I
get
like
caught
the
up,
role.
like-
The role from the first game is way better.
Yeah.
Because at least like when they, again, I'll point out in the Ravis fight because Ravis is the only boss where I was just like, this is ridiculous.
So
Well,
Yeah.
Let Julien finish his
The
thought.
the only reason I say this is like the Ravis fight is just because he has so many unavoidable attacks in a row.
Yeah, he does.
Like fighting Dagon Gera and Bode and all those other characters, like it's okay. Like you can dodge them. Like I beat Darth Vader in like 10 minutes. But the fighting Ravis is like doing the multiple unavoidable attacks in a row is almost to the point where it's like, I mean, you end up winning eventually, but it takes like 4 to 5 hours. And maybe that's just because I'm bad at games, but it was just like you literally can't dodge him. That's the problem. The only way to really beat him is if you have enough stims and can like just suffer your way
you
through
do
it.
suffer your way through that.
So
one a lot.
that
And
my
it just
question was,
sucks.
would you say Ravis is the most difficult villain in the game?
Yes.
For me, it's flopped for me and Julien. Like Vader was the bane of my existence.
Yeah, I
and
couldn't deal with Vader.
I
Like,
beat Vader in
he
like
was
10
so
minutes.
tough
Actually, want
for
to know
me.
why I couldn't deal with Vader? Because I hadn't used single saber a fucking for a minute up until that point, and all of a sudden I'm playing with a character who has like 3 stims and like or whatever the hell he had like 4 stims
She had
and
4,
like
yeah.
and like yeah, which that was the worst part. I was like, I have 4 stims to fight Vader with, okay, and I have 1 saber instead of my trusted dual double blade
See,
combo. No,
the
this
thing
sucks.
the thing with Vader that I liked about that fight was that it was also like, but he fought you single bladed. You could tell kind of what his attacks were going to be.
Yeah.
But also Seer had an avoid.
yes,
Yeah.
That was
She
very
did.
easy to
Yeah, Seer's avoid was
maneuver
good,
away
yeah.
from people. So if he swung at you, if you avoided right at the right second, it was like she like zipped away, like force ran away.
this game has a lot of villains.
It does have a lot of villains.
So-
Dagon Gera.
What I want to say about
coolest
I
fucking
always want to say
character
one
ever.
thing about the weirdly a lot of people don't like Dagon, and I like Dagon a lot.
I like
I think
Dagon.
he's a great character. I was kind of pissed that they
he's a
didn't.
mirror. He's a mirror for Cal.
I'm
mostly,
I'm
but-
kind of pissed that he was not the main villain of the game. Like I honestly,
Yeah, I think there could have certainly been more to like.
Okay,
him.
so that actually
Because
leads me to my
he
next
ends up
question.
just being mostly a mirror
Go ahead.
and more of like an idea of what Cal could become, like instead
Yeah.
of like an actual like big threat.
all right, George.
So-
Next question.
I guess with kind of what was the biggest surprise of the game? Because for me, Jack, you said it to me, and I'm like, oh no, it's not going to be this. But then it happened, and I was like,
The biggest surprise in the game for
Bode.
me was
just,
Bode.
it broke my heart.
Which part
No,
of Bo?
no.
specifically.
I mean, I was pissed. The biggest surprise in the game for me was the fact that Eno Cordova is alive. I was like,
Yeah, I was
what
like, hey,
the
I was here.
fuck?
That was
I was like, how does this even happen? I was not expecting him to just exist.
definitely
Yeah, I
he
just
was
figured
dead.
he was like murdered somewhere.
Yeah,
I
in the
was
ditch,
That's
super
what I
excited. Like I was like happy to see it. I wouldn't say that was my biggest surprise of the game. Like I said, it was Bode stabbing you in the back.
Well, the only
No, but
reason
I
it
think
was
it's like,
Bode.
I didn't trust Bo a single moment of the game. For whatever.
I
didn't
trusted
trust
him, but like after you beat Dagon, like beat him. He gets like this weird moment where he's like, huh, yeah.
Yeah, I knew there because when you talk about bringing the path to Tantalor.
And I was like, what is going on with him? But then like at the campfire, he's all like, yeah, we have a new home for the path, and he's like cheering with us. And then the next morning, he just murders Cordova, and you're like, okay.
Yeah,
I think murdering Cordova was like a little bit. That seemed a little much.
I think
for
that
like even like what he was doing because like I don't know.
It was
I understood, but
Yeah.
like
I did not like how he was an ISB agent, though. I think that was the thing that bothered me the most.
I didn't mind that.
fit pretty well.
I think he should have been one of those. He should have been an Inquisitor and like because the
it was
path that
different
they
for me.
kind of. I know this is Legends, but bear with me. They made him seem like a male version of Mara Jade.
Not
In the sense
in
of
what sense?
his role with the Empire.
But like Mara's like the Emperor's right hand, and like Bode was just like a lackey for some random ISB
Yeah, he
commander.
like he got kind of rocked up in like the. I don't know what any other way to say this, but like a dick measuring contest between like that's a lot of what Imperial like bureaucracy seemingly has been, especially with like following Andor and stuff and like plenty of other things. It's just different admirals backstabbing and trying to get like the best of each other. And like yeah, exactly. Like it's all about like glory and like
Also-
and the ISB want to and honestly like I like what they set up in this, and I'll counter just because I like that they set up like animosity between like the ISB
And
and
Inquisitorius.
Inquisitorius. Like those two should be the opposite side of like the spectrum of like Imperial like divisions. Like they should be like firmly hate each other. Like with the crazy crank like religious people with like the super diligent, super brutal, super efficient like intelligence side of things. So
I do have to make the argument though that his reasoning for betraying Cal is
it's a little stretched. Yeah.
it's completely illogical. Like you fought alongside the guy
I have an argument.
who came you fight alongside this guy who beats Dagon to get you the direct path to the planet that you need to go to. And he's like, okay, let's all go together. Like, let's just get the fuck out of here and let's all go together. And he's like,
But I don't think the game
but now that
tries
the path
to make
is there,
the logic make sense. Like I don't think the game portrays the logic as like as having sense. Like I think the logic is he's in his
idiot?
mind. No, that's not even it. Like in his mind, like it's not about that. It's the idea that okay, the second the path gets like uncovered, then like okay, then the Empire now knows where my daughter is, and I'm back at square one. So that's more of what it is. It's just like they tried to lean into like the dad will do anything for their child to the point of like passing morality of like helping others. It's like almost like a Joel thing from like Last of Us.
But it's frustrating in the fact that it's also like if he wasn't like if they didn't make him an ISB agent, like if they didn't make him an ISB agent, he could have just been like, okay, Cal, let's just go, and nobody has to know where I am.
To quote Master Yoda,
Oh gosh.
the dark side clouds everything.
Yeah, but that's not
But he wasn't even
Impossible the
used,
future
bro.
is to see.
Cop out.
But he wasn't even using the dark side.
No, he wasn't even the dark side.
He becomes a dark Jedi.
No,
No,
Yes!
he does not.
He does like
he's using the dark side at the end.
at the end, but like throughout
But he
the
doesn't
whole
even use
game,
like
he's
not even a
using
Jedi.
it.
Like he's just being a
No,
dude.
he hides his
most
force
of the
abilities
time.
the entire game. But what I'm going to say is because of the attachments that he made and the
Yeah, it
death
is
of
an
his
attachment
wife,
thing, yes.
he is fueled by the dark side, therefore becoming a dark Jedi.
Yeah, his
which I
want to
will
protect
also
his daughter has turned him a little bit into like
Which-
a more. Yeah.
And you see him using the dark side in his rage against his daughter and stuff like that. And I'm saying the dark side clouds his judgment.
okay, I
also,
get that,
I want to highlight the fact that in this game, I did not see. I like to see the fact that the dark Jedi were portrayed with a dark orange lightsaber rather than the standard orange. So I used orange the entire gameplay because there was no red.
You talking about Dagon?
Dagon used a
Dagon's
dark
just red.
orange
Pretty sure
when he
that
corrupted
Dagon
the
was
crystal.
red.
Dagon's was just
Dagon's
red,
lightsaber
No,
was red.
it's
Yeah.
not. It's a dark orange because when you see Vader's
but he literally
lightsaber,
bleeds
that's
it.
red.
Both of them look the exact same to me.
But no, they're two different. I promise you, two
It is.
distinct
It might be a
different
little
colors.
bit like
This
it's
is
a little,
where
I think
we
it
get
might be a little
into-
bit off, but I think it's just a different shade of red.
This
It's
is
like
where, to me, you get into the dark Jedi difference versus the Sith. difference.
My
Where
thing
you
is,
get
like, I don't
the-
think we know anything about bleeding crystals orange though.
Yeah, like he bled his.
Which I will
crystal.
say, like, I've never loved bleeding crystals, but him doing it
I
in
thought it
front
was
of
pretty
Cal,
cool.
I actually like turned me around a little bit on bleeding crystals. I'm like, okay,
like-
that's pretty cool.
I've liked the idea of
I
bleeding
look at
crystals
his
for a while.
lightsaber.
Blade color, yellow, red after bleeding.
See, to me, it looked
It-
red
I
orange.
will
look-
give
it
you. I will
doesn't
give the
look
credit
like
that
the
it doesn't
natural
look
red, like a
directly
Vader's,
red,
like, sure.
but it is red.
See, I look at it and say it was more of a red orange, kind of like what we're gonna see in the Ahsoka series with the Dark Jedi style with Ray Stevenson's character. That it's a red orange.
Didn't he just die?
Yeah,
did.
boat
We
just
talked about
missed
this
it
last
episode.
Rest in
shit,
peace if we didn't
man.
mention that last week.
Yeah.
I think we did.
We did.
May he ever be a part of the living force. What did you
Well,
guys
I hope
think?
they kill his character in the show.
Oh,
I think I imagine so.
I hope so. But
Can you cut that part out so it doesn't look like I'm being insensitive?
you're not being insensitive, but that's what you would have to do. What were your guys'? Now we kind of have to rush through a part of these questions, so just because we did talk about Jedi Fallen Order a lot longer than I anticipated. What was your guys' initial thoughts on the breaking up of the Mantis crew?
I didn't think they were broken up. I
No,
was pretty
I
shocked.
thought they were still working together, and I just thought he was waiting to get back.
I know.
To them.
I knew they were broken up because I watched a video that broke down the really shitty like like Star Wars does that a lot where they release like a novel.
Yeah.
Like that's like I forget what the word, like it's like a prelude to like the story, and it was dog shit. Like it was basically a woman who wanted to write If you look at it, it's like it's like a lesbian like love story with MERRIN and a random character they meet, and at the end of the book, the crew breaks up, and it's one of the worst books ever. It's
interesting.
But I didn't know that at the end of that book they broke up, so I went into the game knowing that the
I
crew
didn't know.
was,
I didn't read the book.
I knew that they weren't broken.
I
up
was
because of
very
that.
shocked like when Cal like gets on the Mantis for the first time and no one was in there. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
what?
Tie-in books are often very bad from in everything, not just Star Wars, but like Halo has like a lot of them, and most of them are dog shit. But like this was so weird. Like I've never seen one which was somebody who like obviously would rather be writing a different genre, who just happened to get picked up for a Star Wars thing and said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do that anyway."
We're not going to talk about the 50 Shades of Grey, which was a Twilight fanfic.
What?
Yeah, it was
50 Shades of Grey was a fanfic for
Twilight. And then
they just rewrote it into that.
Anyway,
but,
so about
sorry.
the game.
About the game,
know.
though, yeah.
No, when the
The more
Mantis
you know.
crew wasn't together, like I knew they weren't together because he said because in the very like one of Bode's first lines to him while you're going through Coruscant is I think he literally goes talking about his friends, and he's like, yeah, it's been a while. It's like, oh shit, okay, they haven't seen each other in a while. So like I knew they weren't together, but also like
to know they had gone their separate paths, though.
yeah, I didn't. Well, I don't know. It didn't bother me because I was just like, well, because it was very obvious from the very beginning. You're like, all right, they're separated right now, but you're gonna take all those other characters, throw them out the fucking window. Like, it was, and there are a lot of people who were pissed off that the game started like that, and they're like, well, we need all of our characters, and it's like, dude, if you've ever know anything about video games or characters anyway, like the relationships you built with them in the last game, there's no way that they're not gonna be main characters in this game,
Right.
Like,
especially
And they
with the
started off
character
with the
building.
other
And it was
characters that, like,
perfect
they
because-
rogue one an entire group of people,
did.
like in the beginning mission, which that beginning mission also does a great job of like introducing like every mechanic from the first game over the course of like an hour,
Yeah.
but without, so you don't have to relearn all this bullshit. Like, and also throughout the
fucking
game,
Ninth Sister again.
yeah. But that's cool. But even that like fits well with the idea of like the tutorial level, where it's like you already beat that person like 5 years ago. So yeah, that should be an easy boss fight for Cal now. Like, and it is. It ends up being one of the easier like fights of the entire thing. And she does the
some of you.
fucking helicopter stop with the the double blue, which I don't care how
Hate
short
that.
it is. I don't care how short of it.
Hate it
We
so
cannot
much.
not sin it. Like, it's not good.
Oh, I don't know if I talked about this when you were talking about this before.
You don't think that's cool?
No.
The flying Inquisitor lightsabers. You
are
like that?
Not cool at all.
I love them, but
Oh my
When
God,
she like
Jack,
Mary Poppins her
Jack,
way into
That's
this.
Suicide Pact. Suicide Pact.
Yeah.
Is what- it's
Mike
like-
doesn't have masks.
no, because they're not actually light. They're
Yes, they
plasma-based sabers,
That doesn't,
guys.
that doesn't fly.
Plasma doesn't have
weight
weight
doesn't
either.
No, I'm not
Plasma
getting into
doesn't
physics.
If it doesn't have mass, how does it clash?
It can be a solid. It doesn't have
It's a
mass.
lightsaber.
How can something be a solid and not have a mass?
They don't. Like, lightsabers don't have weight. like that. Like the hilt does, I think, but like.
But have you ever listened to the original
the Force
concept of the lightsabers? Is that they were meant to be like these massively heavy, like long swords. That the concept is that they weigh a million pounds.
All right, we can argue.
Anyway,
like I don't think Clone Wars you can describe them as
Shut
like
up
long
with your sass.
broadswords at any point, given that the entire Clone Wars like
We will talk about.
it's just them snapping to each other like in a second and a half. Like
we will talk about the physics of Star Wars in another episode.
No, we will not.
yeah, we will never.
We
talk
sure
about
as
that.
shit will, because that's a good episode to have.
Anyway.
We'll get Neil deGrasse Tyson on here and
Can we
he
talk,
can
all right, can we
explain
talk
why
about
it doesn't
Dagan
work.
and Ravis like individually?
Hold
as,
on.
like, their
Are we not
characters?
going to talk about Cal and MERRIN?
We will.
I was going.
We'll get
that
to
was
that.
my
That was
next.
not one
we'll
of the
get to that.
questions.
Well, we were talking.
No,
at
I was
first we were
gonna
talking about
say
how
they
they
got
got
we were
into
just
it.
talking about Night Sisters. Let's get through the villains first of the story, and then we'll go to the
Rank the
thing.
villains. Wow, I misspoke. Rank the villains. Top tier, real quick. We're gonna start with Julien.
like character-wise.
I have
or
the list of
fight-wise?
villains here. The villains that I would consider in the game.
All right,
are,
we're starting
are,
with Christian.
Are
Let Christian
Bode,
start.
Akuna, Dagan Gera, Ravis, Ninth Sister who dies immediately, Spawn of Ogdo counts, and that's basically it. Then,
What about Vader?
And then I guess you had Vader for like the one mission, and I guess the Senator, and then like the ISB guy count, even though they're not like you don't fight them.
You're forgetting.
Like who do people like?
You're forgetting the most important.
The Rancor.
No,
The Rancor's a cool villain as well.
Rick the door
Rick the
technician.
door technician.
Rick the door
S
technician.
the
plus
best
tier.
boss of the game.
That was funny. I will admit.
No,
And
but
you
like,
just
let me see your
and You
list.
suffered for minutes. Well, this is a bunch of other stuff as well. But,
I just want to see the list of characters so I can rank them.
You're down there, yeah.
So, ranking your villains very quickly. We're just gonna go over on. We'll just say overall, combat, appreciation, character design, the whole nine.
Yeah, who's thematically the best, like story wise? You think? And then we can go to
Dagan Gera,
Dagan.
100% the best story wise of all the villains in the game.
I think I like
how he
Ravis.
evolves throughout all three of the fights too. Like the first one, he's like super weak, and then the second one, he gets like a little more stronger because he's recovered, and then like the third one, he's just like.
And the
The third one, he gets like a phantom arm.
No,
and
the
then he
third
can,
one
like,
he's using the Sharingan from Naruto. Like he's using
Yeah,
like
that's true.
he's fighting you in like a vision at one
Okay,
point.
I
know
on
I'm
the
kind of-
roof.
well, that's
I'm like,
what-
what
I'm
is
not
this?
this
I'm
much
like,
of a
I've
nerd.
never seen this before in
well,
Star
that's why I
Wars.
kind of have to say, like, I'm disappointed that he was not like the main villain of the game.
Yeah, he had
'cause,
really cool ability.
like
What
he
the fuck-
was really cool.
Actually, you know what the most surprising thing that happened to me was when he had a fucking phantom arm. That was the most
That was
surprising moment in the
awesome.
entire game for me. Was when his phantom arm showed up.
But Ravis, oh my god, just the worst fight of my life.
Yeah.
It was probably like even the final fight with Dagan was 10 times easier than Ravis.
I think Gendai are just like his species are so fucking
They're
like
so
interesting,
cool.
like in terms of Star Wars, and like just to introduce like one that prominently was cool. And he had like a life debt almost to like Gera because he beat him or whatever. Right? Was that what it was?
Yeah.
A blood
So which was
debt
and so
or-
we waited around for 200 years basically for him to wake up, like which was also like pretty like interesting
Didn't
as well.
Obi-Wan fight one of them in the original?
In the
2005
original, yeah, that's
one?
Something
Dur or
Dirge.
something?
Dirge, yeah.
Yeah, Dirge.
That's why I already knew that because I knew that guy was a Gendai. I'm like, okay, so Ravis is gonna be a fucking problem. Which is basically why you do 2 back-to-back boss fights with him.
I
Like,
guess I'll talk about this now. Is that it blew my mind when I found out that a very good friend of mine voiced Ravis, DC Douglas. So DC, if you're watching, come on the show.
Please come on the show.
Absolutely. we'd love
No,
to
I
have
did a
you.
movie with DC Douglas, and I had no idea that he was voicing Ravis, and I saw on his Instagram, I actually saw in the credits of the game that he voiced Ravis, and I was like, holy shit. So, but I do know DC as a person.
He's
and
got
dude,
such a big backstory.
yeah,
with
and he was
Star
also in
Wars,
KOTOR
too.
as well.
KOTOR, Lego Star Wars. He was in that too.
Yeah, I mean, he has a very big backstory with voicing characters in Star Wars games, and also like he's just a phenomenal actor. I mean, I've worked with him twice, and he's just one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Like seriously, like working on set with him and like DC Douglas, I love that dude. He's great. And so like when I found out, I was like, oh my god, because he's a good friend of mine. Like we've worked together before, so he's just it was nice to be like, oh my god, I'm so close to somebody who's worked on Star Wars. It was awesome.
That
But
our
fuck you, DC, because that fight was so hard. I rage quit. I've never rage
you
quitted a
programmed
character
to
ever.
fight yourself, DC Douglas.
It's like fighting him.
This is
all
like
right.
fighting actual DC
All right, so-
Douglas.
You got Ravis. We all agree that Dagan's the. Oh, I can't speak.
Dagon is the coolest
Dagon.
powers. Yeah.
Dagon is the
Dagon.
coolest
Dagon,
boss.
yeah.
Dagon is the coolest boss. Ravis was probably the most difficult.
No.
For-
Vader.
Vader was hard.
Vader was hard for me.
You
I
guys are
thought Ravis
stupid.
was harder
Ravis
than
was
Vader.
the hardest boss to fight.
I
in the
beat
game.
Ravis in like 5 minutes.
So we hate you.
You're lying.
I'm not.
He's
It
lying.
took okay.
Ravis
Streamer-
didn't take me as long as
It
you
took me
guys,
2
but-
attempts. One to learn his abilities, and I got halfway through the fight. And then the second one, I was able to just power through the first part, and it took me like 5 stims to beat the second part.
I
my
couldn't
God.
get through
I
the
couldn't
second
do it.
part, but so I died like 14 times.
I couldn't do it.
That being
Vader
said,
was
though,
the hardest one for me.
no, Vader was easy for me.
Yeah, same.
Vader gets a health bar this time, which is nice.
So, yes, it was nice. I died. All right, I'm an idiot and didn't hit the checkpoint. So going through that first time, I didn't hit that meditation with Bode outside the temple. So when I died to Bode the first time, I had to run all the way back through the planet.
Fast travel was the
Best
best
addition to the game.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
that's where so.
Yeah.
Ravis was our hardest. Dagon was our best overall. Bode hit the worst, and I mean like emotionally.
Yeah, it
for
was
me.
pretty sad.
The only thing about Bo that surprised me was that he was a Jedi. I didn't trust him.
Like,
I was
I think when he like was bad, I was like, oh man, he's bad, sad, and then he pulled out the lightsaber, and you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
when he forces you away,
shit.
that's when I'm like, oh my god, like what? I was like,
At first, I didn't realize that it was Dagon's lightsaber that he had.
Yeah.
I thought that
By
he had his
the way-
own lightsaber, and I was
Okay,
like,
how
how
did
did
we never
this
see
the whole
this?
time?
Let me just say.
I remember that he stayed back.
Okay, and this is
grabbed
one
it.
one note I'll make. Dagon's lightsaber, coolest fucking lightsaber I have ever
it's
seen
cool.
in my life. If you lightsaber companies out there don't make that, I'm gonna cry. It is so beautiful. That
I
that High
love the
Republic
High
gold
Republic.
was awesome.
Yeah, the High Republic style.
Dagon Gera
lightsabers
is
are
going
beast.
to be a massive cosplay.
Yeah, this
coming
game did a
this
little
year.
bit of heavy lifting for the High Republic era.
Now the question is, are people gonna do without the arm, or are they gonna do the phantom
You gotta cut their arm
That's
off.
best for an
like a
You gotta
amputee.
cut your
Okay.
you gotta
You
cut
gotta,
your arm
you gotta
off.
commit.
I think my favorite part of the story and a part of the game, just overall, is like you get to see. The big thing, I guess, is just more the human side of the characters.
Yeah, there's not a big the story is very loosely tied together in this game. Like there isn't like it's kind of you're doing things for the sake of doing them, and then like when the character moments do come around, you're like, yeah, it's like
Yeah, you get thrust into this weird kind of thing just out of nowhere.
you're on like a
because
scavenger hunt. A lot of it.
you
like,
go see Grease, and then you're like, I need help fixing the ship so I can get back to Saw
you
Gerrera.
find raiders,
And then you find Raiders, and then you find Z, and then all of a sudden you meet Dagon, and you're like, okay, well now we have to fight Dagon.
Yeah, now we have to fix
Yes, you
this.
just
See,
stumble
but I
into
think
it.
like leading up to that, like I like all those little pieces. I think the story of this game, in my opinion, I like it a lot better because it's a lot more.
I enjoyed playing this one more.
I definitely enjoyed this game a lot more because I think the characters are more personal. You focus more on like the first game. The first game to get into those characters really had to be like, okay, this is where this story fits into the Star Wars universe that we already know. Whereas like, okay, now we've spent time with these characters, we know who they are. Now it's like, let's introduce all of this their own personal stuff that they're going through, and this game feels more personal to the characters.
Yeah.
And I like the most I like the fact that you do have all of these things just sort of happen to Kale. Again, he's not protected by plot armor, so everything that happens to him in the game is just purely like shit that just happened because not because it was meant to. He just finds himself in those situations. You're like, and that's kind of how it is with life. Is you just find yourself in a situation. You're like, I guess I have to deal with this now, and then you get to Dagon and you're like, and it also is kind of Cal's fault because he frees him.
Yeah.
But like but it's all like that's a mistake on Cal's part of him just like being too curious. Yeah. And then he makes the mistake that opens up all of this problem, and now they're like, oh shit, we really do have to.
He has to clean up his own mess.
Yeah, I really do gotta.
He almost dies twice in this game.
Yeah. Well, when's the first time?
First time Dagon
fighting
slices
Dagon
his
the
chest,
first time,
and then Bode almost kills him.
But yeah, Bode almost tosses him off like a
He
fucking.
tosses him off a cliff.
and then that second, oh man, when he shoots Bode the second time, I was like, oh.
Double tap.
So-
Jordan, yeah, you Jordan.
Yeah, double tap for sure. What's that rule in Zombieland?
Double tap.
No, but there's a number, like the number. Anyways,
It's number 2.
number 2, double tap.
Fitting.
Yeah. So just, I guess, 1 through 10 again. Overall thoughts on the game. There's a lot that we didn't touch on. I'm gonna just label this as Assassin's Creed with lightsabers.
We have to talk about Callum Merrin.
No, yeah, we had it.
Well, like,
Best plot point of the
It was the best plot. Like, when they kiss, I literally screamed. I was like,
So did
yes!
I. So did I.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I saw a lot of people are just happy. It's like, yeah, they did it. Yeah, they didn't make you wait for it.
And then
like,
him and her's boss fight together.
That was cool.
Like,
That was cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's the
Lesser's-
best part of the game.
Lesser's
When
story
she
is-
puts up the
yeah.
portal thing and you're like flying through the world. Oh, it was awesome.
Lesser writers do this thing where they draw out like two characters being together or like wanting to be together for the sake of like because it's easier to write. Which once they actually do kind of like become like a thing in this, like it doesn't become like stereotypical. It doesn't become like annoying by any way. It's not like the predominant part of their characters. Like it just is a thing that happens.
Yeah.
Like when they get out of like the even like the hyperspace thing at the end and they just like embrace each other. Like it's a very simple like moment. It's like, oh, we didn't die. That's good. Like it's
we
like,
survived.
like, let's suck face now. It's like.
But I will have to say, Cal and Merrin now have a kid, technically. And parents in Star Wars
Kata.
don't last very long.
Well, I think that sets up a very interesting thing for the next game because that Kata will be. They'll probably do a 5-year thing again if I had to guess.
She'll be a
it should be older and like they'll probably do a God of War 2 thing where you go back and forth between like Cal and the younger one, like they do like Kratos and like Atreides and like God of War 2.
I mean, I definitely.
Like, I think they're gonna do
they're
that.
definitely
I
gonna
hope
do
you-
a third game.
I hope
Yes.
I hope you can play as like 3 characters in the next game. I hope you can play as
Cal,
Cal,
Merrin,
Merrin, and the
Kata.
kid. Yeah, because I want to play as a Night Sister. I do. I want to see how they
being able to
program that in.
teleport, I think,
like
was so much fun.
I don't know how they would
Okay,
do that,
so-
but if they can make that work, like you can just teleport behind someone, like just like stop and like almost like drag it or whatever, and just like end up behind them and just stab them. Like that'd be so good. Like,
So this is the one thing I'll say, and this this is the only thing that bothered me about the game, which, and I have another video game I'm going to compare it to that.
Then give your rating, 1 through 10.
Oh, my rating of this game again a 9.
yeah,
I'll give it a 9, and I think it's I'll give it a 9.5 honestly because I think the plot of this game is better. But
Well, go ahead, finish your
the
thought.
thing I
though.
wanted to say was the one thing about the game that bothered me is playing as Seer, because if you've ever played a video game like where you have multiple characters, I'm gonna use Detroit Become Human, which is my favorite video game of all time, as a very good example
Great
of
game.
this. The reason that game works with multiple different characters is because you are with those characters from the very beginning, and so you get to see all of their characters develop. You play as all 3 of them right from the beginning. You are creating the story for all 3 of them right at the beginning. To me, playing as Seer, in my opinion, felt like a cop-out to fight Darth Vader faster or easier.
it
Whereas,
is
like,
it is a little out of nowhere.
It is totally out of place. For him to find out that Bode betrays him, he falls off a cliff and is knocked out, and then you just wake up as Seer just to fight Darth Vader, and then nothing else matters.
Yeah, I would say it's a little bit out of nowhere.
it
and it's like
just-
you don't think about like that you'll all
Like
of a sudden be
the thing that
Seer in this game.
that's why like Lego Star Wars works, because you start the game and can play as multiple different characters right off the bat, or you unlock them right away and then can play them.
I would say
Or,
though,
like,
I enjoy like once you become Seer, like I think you actually are pretty cool.
She's
I think
so
that part
strong.
I think that part of the game is
And
awesome.
they
don't get me wrong,
hint at
but-
that in the first game, and because a decent amount of people are mad at how well she does against Vader. But
master.
But then she
By
was
that
like, but
time.
they kind of like hint in the first game how powerful Seer actually kind of is, and she's like older than I think a lot of people realize as well. So
Yeah,
she's like been 5 years. She has tattoos, like she's on Jeddah of all places. So she's supposed to be like someone who's like
She's been working on this
Yeah,
for a
she's
while.
like it's like the Obi-Wan thing where like Obi-Wan had lost himself, but by the end of like A New Hope, like how attuned is like fucking Obi-Wan,
And I think
with like the Force, like how attuned is Seer at this point?
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
like
And I think it just slightly takes me out of it to be playing the entire game as Cal, and then for like 5 minutes you get to play as Seer.
that
and
is
then
one
you
of the
just
best
never do
musical
it again.
score of the
Oh,
movie
the
is.
game. Well, it's cool. I just think it's just taking you out of the story that like you're in this rush. You're trying to get to Bode. You just fought Dagan Gera. You find out that Bode betrays you, and then they're just like, here's a boss fight.
and you can fight Darth Vader real quick, and it doesn't affect anybody other than the fact that Cal runs in at the end and she's dead.
I do think that is the best moment of that's my favorite. Like that's the moment that hit me emotionally hardest though, is that when she's just holding her, because also he doesn't get there when she's alive.
No,
Right.
Like that's just his force ability. Like witnessing his last. Like she just says like Trilla and Cal to it herself.
Yeah.
And then he finds her body.
That's why it cross dissolves to like.
Exactly. That's why it cross dissolves to like a smoked out, like darkened room, because that was a while ago.
Yeah.
Like
when
it was his Force sense.
When it first happened, I was like, Cal, you're here. Vader's right there.
It's like he's right there, boss. It's like you're gonna have to fight him now too. It's like.
Yeah, it just took me out of it.
I can see that.
So if they do that in the next game where you can play as Cal, Merrin, and
do it early.
Kata, it's just right from the beginning of the game, you should be able to switch between all three of them.
Yeah.
Because it would be weird.
Christian. 1 through 10.
I'll give it a 9. I very much enjoyed myself while playing. I have my gripes with the story. I don't think the story is like as good as it can be, but I can't deny that like I was like engrossed. And,
I will say
enjoyed it while I was playing. I was playing it nonstop, like when it first came out. So much as I think I do have like some narrative things that I look at like writing wise that I'm like, yeah, that's not great. But like in the moment, I was enjoying myself like so much. So like yeah.
Jack.
I'm gonna give it an 8 again, just because I feel like they depowered the combat a little bit. But otherwise, it's an amazing game. I had so much fun playing it. I think that one of the funniest parts of the new game plus is that you can get like a rainbow color lightsaber. I think that's hilarious.
Oh, I like the. One thing I want to just mention. I like when they do a. I like when they do a settlement system. I love settlement systems in games. I don't know if I think a lot of people probably don't give a fuck about settlement systems, but like I remember like since like fucking Assassin's Creed like 3 when you had like the homestead, like, and that was like your little home base. Like I've loved like when they give you like an area that you can like update and like add to like as the game goes on. And I thought that was good. I like I forget what the town's called like on Kobo, but that town I think that's like you're the protector of is cool. And then the bar is very like the bar is very Star Wars. The people in the bar are not like annoying to talk to. They're actually like kind of interesting, and there's a nice variety. Yeah, Z's a good character. Monk, the bartender droid, I fucking love. A couple of the other ones are random, but there's a decent amount of like solid characters intermixed with Turgle. Is very fucking Turgle. It's like he's so ugly. I love him. This is what
he's just a tree frog.
I will say
that guy fucking. I was like, what the fuck is that? When I first saw him, I was like, what kind of fucking alien is this?
Ramus. I will say I was a little disappointed that Tanalorr wasn't like an explorable.
Oh, actually, I was gonna mention this. You spend the entire fucking game like we gotta get the Tanalorr guys, and it's like 2 rooms.
Yeah,
it's like a temple, and then the area that we parked the mantis.
So that's kind of that thought on the ending there. That kind of segues into my last question. But real quick to give my rating, I'm gonna give it an 8.5. Because I still haven't gone through and done all the extra. But the reason I laughed at the rainbow lightsaber thing is because lightsabers don't do that. But
they could.
Star Wars physics. Right? Is that we're just going to leave it up to that, just like they fly. So it bothers you guys. This bothers me. But it's not the point. Okay. Sorry. What do you think is next in one sentence? If you had to give me the next game title, what would it be?
Something related to like raising a Padawan.
Cal fights Starkiller.
Like Jedi something. I don't know. Jedi like something like regarding like a next generation sort of thing. Like Cal might even
like
die.
New World Order
like
or something like that.
Not maybe not that, but like I don't
Star
know,
Wars, the next generation.
Yeah. Just something like Star Wars, like Padawan, maybe, or something weird. Like I don't know, like
or it'll be like
Master.
It'll be like Jedi First Order or something like that. Ugh. Oh no, that wouldn't be First Order. It would be the Empire.
Well, I guess it's like when like,
Shadow of the Empire, something.
It'll be interesting when the next like game will be. Like I imagine it'll probably just do another like 5-year jump. Like, then it'll be like when Rebels starts. Basically, will be like the time period.
Christian,
that would be cool.
Christian made a good point in the
last
episode,
and he's like, "No, my name is Zeb," and you're like, "Oh shit."
Last episode, Christian made a good point / kind of like hope is that Starkiller would be a cool third game villain for Cal to face.
Yeah, like if you could incorporate the story in somehow, like then maybe that would be like this would be
or
the only
they-
place to do it.
Yeah.
Or they decanonize the story of the games and just bring in the character. And
Yeah,
give a
that's
new
what we
story.
were
I'd
talking
rather
about.
not decanonize them. I know they.
I mean,
don't
I
necessarily
wouldn't.
make sense,
Obviously, I
but-
wouldn't want to, but going with the Vader's apprentice thing and all that
Yeah.
Makes
shit,
sense.
It's going to be really well.
I
don't
mean,
know
like-
about that because they kind of retconned that with the Inquisitors.
But I don't really
Well,
know.
I mean, if Cal's already this much of an issue, Cal seems to be a decent issue, like to the Empire at this point. Like he's not he's not doing necessarily a great job. Like he's not like stopping the Empire or anything. But
he's one of the
seems
most
to be-
wanted.
But yeah, he seems to be like fucking with shit like pretty like a decent amount, like enough that the Inquisitors are very well aware of who he is. Like the Vader's pretty well aware.
There's like wanted poster billboards in Coruscant.
Yeah.
that you
Yeah,
can run
exactly. Yeah,
across.
you come across that one. So
And he's a terrorist now with Saw Gerrera.
I don't
so-
really know like where the third game would go. Like, you're on Tanalorr, so like why leave? And like
You're probably gonna be working with the
something
past.
has to happen to Cal because like if Cal and Merrin
They fucking kidnapped Merrin, bro.
if Cal and Merrin and Kata all survive, like, up until, like, the original movies, like, why wasn't Tanalorr, like, Cal would 100% go to, like, Luke after Luke's been, outed.
The third game,
to be fair,
if
Tanalorr
they do
does
another
offer an
game, the
opportunity.
third game has to end with all three of those characters being just, like, completely destroyed.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way, unless
necessarily.
Well, but they kind of they kind of had to make a loophole for Ahsoka too. Like, where was Ahsoka during the original films? Like, you have to. They
haven't explained that yet.
Wild Space.
Well, we're about to find out.
Yeah.
I actually
But-
maybe they might explain it a little bit. For Tanalorr does offer at least. Well, it depends what happens to Tanalorr in the next game, basically.
Like, something's
because
gotta
I
happen.
imagine Tanalorr is going to be like the settlement build area of the next game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Because is there going to be story on Tanalorr? Like,
It has
is,
to be.
But like what? Like,
Why bring in a whole planet?
Either-
It's just weird that there wasn't anything to do on Tanalorr like once you got there this game, because it feels weird that then it's like, all right, you gotta wait 4 years to see what Tanalorr is all about. And, like, I just feel like they won't do much with it next game.
Either
like,
Cal and Merrin die, or, like, Tanalorr gets, like, destroyed.
All
no,
right,
but I think Tanalorr
so-
does, if it somehow does survive, it does offer a place where people were able to, like, if the Empire doesn't like fully like figure out how to get there, then
Yeah.
yeah.
So, final thought. We're gonna jump to you for question of the day here in a minute. Where we're going next, I think it's gonna be Jedi Rebirth. We'll just call it that.
Rebirth.
That's a good one.
Title.
So, that's where I think it's going. Is you're gonna the rebirth of the Order or whatever, but they're
Which
doing it on
doesn't
Tanalorr.
work.
Nope.
Which here's the thing. If they're on Tanalorr, Luke's got to find them after the episodes where he goes and becomes this person to build thing kind of thing, and they're kind of over there on their own.
Although
little
Cal's-
homestead.
Yeah, why wasn't Luke's new temple on Tanalorr?
Although
we'll
is Cal a
figure that
Jedi
out.
at this point?
I
though?
don't. I think that
I
he's
don't
a
think
great
Cal
Jedi.
is. No, I don't think he's even. I think he's just a Force user
Well-
at this point. Like, because he says the Jedi's over, and he's like, he's gonna be in a relationship.
We're
with
gonna
Matt-
have to
with
wait for the
Merrin,
next game.
So
We're gonna have to wait for the next game to find out.
can
Question
bone,
of
they
the
can't be
day,
loved, though.
Julian. What do you got?
Oh man, question of the day is really definitely got to be like, what's your favorite part of all of those games? And if you could,
What's your favorite part of the?
no, I just want to know, like, what's your favorite part of both games? And if you had to pick one or the other, would you choose Fallen Order or Survivor?
and bring up anything we missed in the comments.
Yeah.
Hey, yes, anything
please
we
do.
missed or didn't touch on, or you want us to talk about next time, let us know.
So, thank you for listening with us or watching, depending on your platform. We greatly appreciate it. You can check us out on Discord. That will be dropping by the time this releases. Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, Twitter, all the platforms, Spotify. And thank you again to Moranto Media and Emerge Studios. We greatly appreciate all your help and keeping this going. And thank you to bicbpradio.com. And shout out again to Matt Johnson for being joining us in our last episode and keeping things going. And Julian, it's good to have you back for the short while we do.
Can I admit something? Can I admit something real quick?
Julian?
And
Yeah.
I did, when Bo betrayed me, I did spend the next half hour like saying to the people that were in my house that I was going to murder his daughter. It's like that I was going to find her and
What a way to end.
All right, and on that note, we will see you guys next time. Have a great day. May the force be with you.